Membership sites. You've heard about them. You're likely subscribed to several of them, and perhaps you're even getting ready to start your own. Well, on today's episode of the podcast, you are in luck because I have the experts on membership sites. I'm going to be talking to Mike Morrison from the Membership Guys, and he's going to talk all about how to get started with a membership site and why you as a podcaster might want to consider membership sites in your business. Hello and welcome to the Power of Podcasting. My name is Nick Palkowski and I'm the host of this podcast, and I'm also the founder of Your Podcast Guru, a business that is designed to help you get your message to your audience through podcasting. And really what we do is we help coaches, speakers, authors, and other online entrepreneurs share their stories, build an audience, and grow their business. And I'm very excited about today's episode because we're going to be talking to Mike Morrison, who is one half of the Membership Guys. Him and his partner Callie are really out there helping more and more people, helping thousands of people create their own membership sites and run really effective membership sites through proven strategies that they put together. And they do a phenomenal job of helping people not only get started, but helping them really grow and scale their membership to a new level. And I want to dive right away into our interview because this was an excellent one. We went a little longer than normal, but I'm very excited, and I think Mike does a great job of just describing how you can make the most of a membership site and how you can really deliver the most value to your audience through this format. So let's dive on into our interview with Mike. Mike, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the podcast.
Nick, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to talking memberships, talking podcasting, and whatever else comes up.
Yeah, I am really excited too. And I just want to say congratulations to you. I know you've had your membership sites now for 2 years? I just heard that podcast episode.
Yeah, 2-year anniversary last week from when we opened the doors to Member Site Academy. So very exciting times. And we've got a lot of real cool stuff going on and a lot of awesome stuff on the agenda for the coming next 2 years, 22 years, 102, however long. Forever and ever, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I just want to dive in first here at the start. Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get started as the Membership Guys?
Yeah, well, I was originally running a digital marketing agency, which started probably about 11 or 12 years ago now. I lose track of what year we're actually in now. And through that, I was involved in a wide range of different projects on the tech side, on the strategy side, and the marketing side. But I always found myself gravitating more towards certain types of jobs. And those were typically online communities, e-learning type businesses. And a lot of that was just due to my own kind of first experiences online, which were in online communities, news groups, message boards. Kind of before social media really sprung up, I was already really drawn into the online community side of things. And so as the years of running the agency successfully went on, we had the good fortune to be able to pick and choose the types of clients that we worked with, the type of projects we focused on. And so over time, that focus just got narrower and narrower to a point where we were only working on memberships. And I would say probably about 3-4 years ago, we're at a point where we were very exclusively just working with a small number of clients where we were heavily entrenched in the day-to-day of their membership businesses. And we were having so many people coming along who were wanting to work with us because of the fact we were specialized, but we didn't have the capacity for them. We just didn't have the room, and they didn't necessarily have the budget to work with us. So we wanted to be able to give those guys somewhere they could go to. And we actually started out looking for someone else out there who had a membership about memberships. I mean, surely, but nothing like that existed. Nobody was putting out good content about memberships other than the old school kind of sleazy internet marketing stuff. So we took up that mantle ourselves, decided we should plant our flag as the membership guys. We started blogging, we started podcasting, we started putting out great content, and then that was shortly followed by opening the doors to our own membership website that is run by myself and the other half. She would say the better half, and most other people would agree, of the membership guys, and that's my partner, Miss Callie Willows. And it's going well. We no longer work with clients. All we do is the membership, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's really awesome. And so it sounds like the podcast actually started, and the blogging kind of started first as a way to build up anticipation and things like that for the opening of the membership. Is that correct?
We knew that going forward, the podcast would be a key part, not just for getting that initial that initial kind of groundswell of a following for opening our membership, but as a continuous tool that, as the membership growed, would only become more and more effective as a platform, not just for getting our voice out there, but also for really tapping into the social proof that comes from being able to showcase members on our shows, from being able to even just reference stories and case studies that were coming up from inside our community, and that's a big part of what we do. But we also knew, and it's certainly been true over the last couple of years, that with a membership, it's not just about that upfront sale. You want people who are going to stick around for months and years, and that requires generally a higher level of trust and a stronger relationship between you and your customer than is necessary if you're just selling kind of one-off products. So the podcast is key in helping us to actually establish that. It helps get our voice across. It helps develop that trust and that, that know-like trust factor that's talked about so much, in a way that the written word simply can't do. And also, it's a kind of a good screener, because if you don't understand my accent, and if you don't like the way that I communicate and the way that I talk about things, you're not going to want to join my membership, because you're going to hear a lot of me in there. So it kind of works on multiple fronts.
Yeah, and I really love that, just what you're talking about there, is because that's my big view of podcasting in general. Is podcasting is an excellent tool to really help build that relationship with your audience. It's really to help. It's to help create those true fans, if you will, and those are the exact people that you eventually want to move into a membership if it's right for them. So how would you suggest, and even maybe this can be from your experience as a podcaster and a membership site owner, how would you suggest a podcaster, someone who has, this show, has this content out there, how should they then maybe transition into a membership site, or what should they think about when potentially starting a membership site, or if they should start a membership site?
There's a few things to unpack there. I think the first thing is really reframing and rethinking about what it is you do. You are not a podcaster. You're not an entrepreneur. You're not a web designer, a coach, or what have you. All you are, all I am, all you are, all everyone in this business is a problem solver. You are in the business of providing solutions to your audience's problems. That's all it boils down to. So you need to think about what problem you solve and who you solve it for. Getting that clarity is easier said than done, and it really does. It requires you to truly understand your audience, to talk to them, and to listen to what they're saying, what are their frustrations, their hopes, aspirations, goals, what's their day-to-day look like, where do you fit in that, what problem can you solve? Now, sometimes the problem is an enormous one. Sometimes it's, people suffering from crippling debt. Sometimes it's people just having nobody to talk about video games with. The level of problem, when you talk about being a problem solver, it immediately kind of paints a picture of, the problem's being serious.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, not having somebody to talk about the latest Call of Duty isn't a serious problem, but, this stuff scales. And so you need to figure out the role that you play. You also need to have realistic expectations of what a membership site requires. There's a lot of stuff out there that talks about memberships as this kind of holy grail, silver bullet, golden goose kind of business model. And nothing could be further from the truth. If you've got aspirations of showing up once a week for an hour for your podcast episode and spending the rest of the time kicking back, sipping cocktails as the money rolls in. It ain't going to happen. And you're going to spend... I know. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. Passive income is very rarely, if ever, actually passive. Nobody who read the 4-hour work week only works 4 hours a week, not even the guy who wrote the thing. So you need to really embrace the fact that a membership is just a business model. It's a business. It's work. Yes, it's fun work, it's fulfilling work, it's rewarding work, it's work that scales more than if you're, dealing with clients one-on-one. Mm-hmm. But it's work nonetheless. So you need to make sure that the idea of a membership, creating content, showing up in your community, dealing with customer service stuff, you need to make sure that actually sounds like fun. That sounds like something you might want to do for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line, because it is a long-term commitment. Membership's a marathon, not a sprint. You need to make sure that you're fully geared up for what it actually entails before you get into it.
Oh, I love that. And that's so, so true. And I think one of the reasons I love membership sites so much is because, like you were mentioning earlier, you essentially are a problem solver. Well, a membership site can oftentimes allow you to actually be that problem solver to really serve your audience in a deeper way than a podcast ever could, than online course usually can, just because you are there with them on a month-by-month basis, touching in so often you're able to update and continue kind of do, you're able to change as the problem evolves for them as well.
Yes, and that's what I love about memberships. Talk about them being a lot of work, but the great thing about memberships is that they are never finished. And there's two sides to that coin. One side being what I talked about before, the fact that you need to recognize that if you want people to pay you on an ongoing basis, you've got to deliver value on an ongoing basis. And that means showing up, creating content, getting into the community. But the other side of it is that you don't have to worry about creating this finite, finished article. Your membership is going to be ever evolving. And as a result, it's okay if it's a little rough around the edges in the early days. It's okay if, as you said, you evolve that solution as the problem evolves or as you get that deeper understanding of your community. The fact that you can change what your membership is and you can try something out, and then if it doesn't work, it's fine. Try something else out, go in a different direction, tighten your focus. Like with our membership, it's been up, as we said, just for over 2 years now. There's things that we tried in there that obviously, it worked like gangbusters with our clients in the past, and we tried it and it flopped just because it just wasn't right for our particular audience. Yeah. There's new stuff that, we had tested with clients before and it was terrible. And we thought, let's just give it a go on our site, and it's worked great. We've had certain types of content, certain structures for training that we've changed or we've thrown out, or we've taken ideas from our members for stuff we'd never even considered creating or never considered doing. That organic, evolving product, I think, is the best possible way to serve your audience, because your audience aren't static. Their lives aren't static. Their problems aren't binary or finite. So having this ever-evolving, never-completed product is just so cool. And it does mean that you don't have to lock yourself away for like 6 months creating the perfect course, because when that product's released, you can't change it. With a membership, it's a moving train. You can shape it however you want, and you can continuously adapt to the needs of your members.
I love that. So what are some of the big essential pieces when creating a membership site? Like, what should people be thinking about on kind of that basic level?
It kind of depends. I mean, a lot of people think about the tech. Like someone gets an idea about membership and then right away they start thinking about, okay, well, do I do it on WordPress or Kajabi? Do I use Wishlist Member or MemberPress or Paid Memberships Pro? And they jump into the mechanics of making it happen. First thing you need to have is a valid idea. Before you do any of that, before you're worried about tech, prove the concept. And that means getting somebody to pay you for something. So that could be taking pre-orders on your membership. It could be doing a little trial run using something like Patreon. It could be creating an MVP product where maybe it's a 6-week coaching program with you, where you're checking off the same boxes you intend to check off with your membership, but you're just doing it with a slightly different twist. Prove that model. Research, validate. And that doesn't mean ask your loved one or your parents or your friends, because those guys will either not give you an honest answer, or we've all got that one friend who kind of prides himself on giving it to you straight. They might actually tell you something totally sucks when it's actually a good idea. Those, ignore the ones you love when it comes to validating your idea. So you need that valid idea. You also need to decide on your value mechanism. So we talked about delivering that ongoing value. What does that mean for you? You need to think about what it is that is going to help people get to where they want to go, solve the problem that they're going to have coming into your membership. But you also need to balance that with what you're suited to. If you hate doing face-to-camera videos, don't create a membership site which is centered around face-to-camera videos. If you're a podcaster and that's your strength and your real tool is your voice, don't create a membership site that doesn't incorporate any audio or any video. So think about what that actually means. In terms of content for your membership, I like to think of things as deliverables rather than content, because content makes you think courses, it makes you think tutorials. When actually it can simply be things like live Q&As. It can be a community. It can be you going out there and scoring discounts for your members, so member perks. I always like to have a balance of 4 different types of deliverables in a membership. So you might decide to have video tutorials, downloadable checklists and workbooks, a monthly live Q&A, and member perks, so member discounts. And then that gives you a nice balance whereby one week the new thing in your membership is a new video, next week it's a checklist, and so on and so on. So think about what that is for you. Make sure you're balancing what it is that's going to best serve your members with your own preferences, what's going to work and what's going to be manageable for you, because you don't want to burn yourself out in delivering stuff to your members, because you're not serving your members that way. Then there is all of the tech side of things, but that is, it's almost secondary. You need to figure out what your membership is going to look like before you go shopping for technology, because the specific requirements you have are going to inform what's the best membership plugin for you. There's 20 or 30 real good ones in the market. There are tools. We've got stuff on our website that helps you narrow those down. Make sure you understand what you're buying it for before you go out and buy technology and choose a platform. And then, that should kind of put you in good shape for what your membership looks like, what purpose it serves. And the final piece is your audience. If you're running a podcast already, you should already have an audience. How do you get them to take action? You want to be starting to think about moving those guys away from the passive activity of listening to your show to get them to do something. Sign up to an email list, to join a Facebook group, prime the pump and get them into a position where they are yours. They're in your ecosystem, where you can engage with them, talk to them, and eventually sell something to them.
Yeah. Well, and I know you have 2 actually podcasts right now. So let's talk just a little bit how you are using your podcast to get people into that system, to kind of prime the pump, like you said, and get them to become members of your membership site.
Yeah, we tried a few different things. We typically have the more traditional audio promo just for the membership. We find that that not only does drive sales, but even just the awareness level of making sure that there's this reminder that, this is a podcast about memberships. Obviously, we've got a membership. This is what it is. This is what it comprises. But whenever we're telling people to take action, we're typically asking them to join our Facebook group. To begin with, it was email opt-ins, but we did a little trial run, and actually get them into our Facebook group is best. We run a free Facebook group that is at, I think, about 5,300 members right now. And so, that's 5,300 very highly targeted people, You don't accidentally join a Facebook group for membership site owners. It's such a specific topic. And so, when they're in there, not only are they getting exposed to our other content, but more importantly, we have an overlap of people who are in our paid membership, but they're also still in our free group. And so those guys advocate for us. So we don't have to tell people, if someone asks, should I charge annually or should I charge monthly for my membership? Someone who is already either a member of ours or is familiar with our content will post a link as a reply to the podcast episode we've done about that. So it becomes that kind of circle that feeds itself. Paid members will, again, they'll say to people, are you a member of the Academy? If not, you should be. Like, we just have to sit back and let this stuff happen. And that is just because we have prioritized the promotion of the Facebook group on our podcast. One tip I give people for that is buy a domain name that is easily pronounceable, easy to remember, and set that up so it's forwarded to your Facebook group. It's a lot easier to say on a podcast episode, let us know what you thought of this episode over at our free Facebook group, talkmemberships.com, than it is to say over at our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/398. So having that, remembering that calls to action are they're trickier in audio format because most people aren't sitting at their desk. But just take stuff like that into consideration. And I would say, in terms of driving email signups, whether it's podcast or whether it's anything else, relevancy is the key. If you're trying to get people onto an email list, then you need to provide them with a lead magnet, an opt-in bribe, which I hate that term, that is specific or not generic, but specific to what they've just listened to. So, if someone gets to the end of an episode and they want more, what you provide them needs to be more in terms of the organic next step for what they just listened to. So instead of just kind of saying, if you enjoy this stuff, head over to the website and subscribe to our newsletter, that's not compelling.
No,
it's not going to compel people action. But if you've just done, a whole episode on, here's why you should buy a red car. I'm buying a new car like next week and deciding what color it should be. So it's a really hyper. I've got this open in my browser in front of me. Red car. Should I buy a red car? Well, let's say you've got a motoring podcast and you're talking about should you buy a red car or not. Then the next step should be head on over to our website and download our car buying colors guide or something like that is specific. If you look at people like Amy Porterfield, she generally, for most of her episodes, produces a lead magnet for each episode. You don't have to go that far. That's a lot of work, and Amy has a big team helping her to make that happen. And the funny thing is, she pointed this out at Podcast Movement, where I saw her speak a couple of weeks ago. The funny thing is, she doesn't actually do it for every episode, but everyone assumes that she does, because she does it often enough that it's the assumption is that Amy provides these great resources on her show. So I'm going to listen to her show and I'm going to take action. So think about what you can do as that organic next step. That could mean having 3 or 4 different core lead magnet opt-ins that target 3 or 4 broader segments within your audience. So if you're doing a podcast episode, for us, our segments are planners, builders, launchers, growers. If we're doing a podcast episode that is more around the building of a membership, we're going to direct you towards our opt-in that is for that group of people, which is all about helping to choose a membership plugin. We wouldn't push that plugin if we're doing an episode on a topic that's more geared towards people who already have memberships and they're trying to grow them. That relevancy is key, and it's an important thing for making sure that you get highly qualified people on your email list, so you have a higher quality rather than just piling up the numbers and getting people to subscribe for contests or subscribe to a general newsletter or something like that.
Right. Well, and those contests and just newsletters in general, they don't stick around. They're off your list very quickly. So you just churn through it like crazy. But I love the segmenting it into what'd you say they were? What were your
It's
different categories?
Planners, builders, growers. Launchers kind of is an unofficial one between the building and the growing. But, when you go to our website, we smack people across the face with that. We immediately ask, what is it you want help with? Planning, building, growing. You click on that and it shows you segmented content. It shows you an opt-in that's just for that segment. And when you read those articles, the opt-ins again, just for that segment. So that sort of segmentation is a big part to increasing signups, increasing the likelihood someone will listen to your podcast and then take action, and then increasing the chances they'll actually convert once that they're on your list. Because if you can just discern some basic information about what someone who signs up to your list is specifically interested in, you can make your messaging more targeted. The more targeted it is, the more that person will associate with the stuff you're saying, the more they'll be able to picture the end result that you're talking about, the more likely that they'll actually take that next step.
And so what does that look like in your process? So say you have someone who is a grower. What does that look like when they go and become a member, or how do you said your very targeted messages to them, but does their experience change in the actual membership site based off of that segmentation?
In the membership site, it does a little in terms of where we point them towards. So, we very much accept that the whole segmentation side of things isn't foolproof, because you do get people who sign up for everything. And, people's situations change, especially in the initial stages. So someone who signed up for the email list when they were a planner will likely have changed by the time they join the membership. So we revisit that segmentation. And if someone joins up to our list, we tag them based on what they've signed up for. We send them essentially what is kind of the 5 most important things you need to know for planning your membership. We send that as a series of emails. The sales messages they get emphasize the stuff in the membership that helps them plan, or helps them build, or helps them grow. And the pitch is all geared towards them. When they join the membership, as part of the onboarding process, they complete a new member questionnaire, in which, again, they explicitly identify the thing that they are prioritizing. Because remember, the segmentation up to that point isn't them saying, I am a planner. It's us assuming you opted in for the planning guide. Presumably you're a planner. We don't want to go out and say, listen, so we can market to you better, confirm that you're a planner. Although if someone opts in for our general, we do have a generic opt-in. If someone opts in for that, they will, within the first couple of weeks, get an email saying, click on which of these statements best represents you. I'm a planner, I'm a builder, I'm a grower. So we revisit that when they join the membership. Based on what they select, we direct them to the content they should be viewing, the content they should be prioritizing. We also have a membership roadmap inside our site, which is structured: planning, building, launching. This is, I say that's kind of creeping in as an unofficial group. Planning, building, launching, growing. So what's in the membership in terms of our roadmap, which is kind of our overarching guide to our courses and workshops and all that, that matches up with the segmentation that we're doing as well. So it does follow all the way through. And more recently in the membership, we've in the community side of things, we've started doing kind of almost private interest clubs. So kind of mini groups and clusters within the community. And again, in there, we've got the planning club, we've got the launching club, we've got the growing club. So it's threaded throughout. So if you can identify those segments in your own audience, some audiences, some topics will have that kind of linear journey where someone progresses from step 1 to step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Some won't be a journey like that. Maybe they'll be based on competency. So beginner, intermediate, advanced. Some will just be topic based. So it might be something like social media marketing, where there isn't really a beginner, intermediate, advanced. There's not really a day 1, day 2, day 3. There's just a whole bunch of subtopics. So you need to really analyze your subject and what you focus on, your niche, in terms of how the segmentation comes in, and then apply it to your business in your lead gen, in your content production. It informs everything we do, and we're planning what we're going to talk about on the podcast, maintaining the balance in making sure we've got a good balance between catering to these segments. That is key. Again, all of our funnels, all of our marketing, all of our emails, everything in the membership, it's got that segmentation running through. And when we really went all in on that, we saw our opt-ins increase by more than double.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it just went up and up and up and up. So yeah, it's a case of finding out how that's going to work in your own business for you.
Well, and that's so smart to do it that way, because it allows you to really, a lot of times we talk about finding a niche, finding your demographic, your audience. Well, you're talking very specifically to the problems that each of these individuals have, and you're, gearing the entire message and their entire experience around that, which is just so smart. And it's a great way to get them to realize that you can solve their exact problem rather than try to just solve a general problem around their problem. I love that. Yeah. So since we're talking a lot about sequencing and just kind of the path into the membership site, I know onboarding can be a huge thing for membership sites. What do you recommend in terms of thinking through that actual onboarding process for people?
Yeah, so, first of all, you want to make sure that anyone who signs up your site, you're giving them a warm welcome. That's got to be the first thing that they see. When they complete their registration, they've gone through the checkout, a nice, friendly welcome message, ideally a video from you, your co-founder, your team, whoever it is they've just signed up to spend their time with. Welcome them to the website and making them feel good about their decision to join. We've all been in that situation where we bought something and you get that immediate buyer's remorse. That is quadrupled when it comes to buying something online. You click submit and it's, oh man, have I been phished? Where's my login details? It's been like 2 seconds. Why haven't I had a welcome email?
Yeah.
You want to make them forget any of that doubt, make them feel good about their decision to join right away. From there, you need to provide some form of orientation. Don't leave new members scratching their heads trying to figure everything out for themselves, where everything is, how everything works. Give them a walkthrough video, or you might even go one further and create kind of an interactive tour where you're actually showing people how to use your website, what they should be focusing on. Then think about what the ideal first 4 or 5 steps every new membership take would be. So this might be getting them to look at very specific content. It might be having them set up a profile and introduce themselves in your community. It could be getting them to book in a welcome call with you. Some memberships do personal welcome calls, either one-on-one or in small groups. It might be getting them to watch your tour video, your walkthrough video, or it may be having them fill in a new member questionnaire, which is one of the things on our list. Nail down those first 4 or 5 steps. That's going to get people off to the best possible start, get them building habits like logging into the community and consuming content. And that's going to, put you with a better chance of them actually sticking around if you've given them the right push off in their early days. And then throughout that first month, usually, you want to be checking in consistently via email. You can do this via autoresponder. You might use tools like Intercom, for example, or Drift, which actually pop up little on-site messages at given times to your members, highlighting the best content, checking that they're managing everything okay, that they're not having any problems. Sometimes just opening the doors for that conversation can make a big difference, because you'd be amazed how many people struggle with a website. Maybe they can't figure out where something is, but they won't contact you and they won't tell you. If you're prompting them to let you know if they're having a problem, it could put you in a better position to actually solve any issues and stop people leaving in their first month. But keep that communication, that dialogue going, helping people, figure out what to focus on, maybe helping them actually get a little win in their first few weeks. That's always a good thing. And as you come towards the end of that first month, or it might be the end of a trial period, if you've got a 2-week trial, you want to time things around essentially that first rebuild period. Towards the end of it, then you want to shift focus away from that initial induction towards highlighting and signposting the future value that your membership offers. So letting them know what content's coming up, what features are being added, what guests are coming in to do the expert sessions. Signposting that future value means that if someone gets to the end of their first billing period and they're trying to decide whether to stay or whether to go, they're not just looking back on what they've had during that first month. They now have to make that decision based on what they'll potentially lose and miss out on if they decide not to stick around. So, all of this, again, this should be happening over the first 4 weeks as the core thing. And then from there, again, you just want to make sure you're continuing to engage, that you're continuing to help people get to where they want to go. But if you onboarded them correctly in the first month, a lot of that then will be done within your community and will be done on a more kind of direct and personal and probably less automated basis.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So I imagine with that kind of future pacing, is that something you're just kind of carrying out as kind of your main retention piece throughout their membership? So as they get to month 6 and stuff, are you still like just kind of constantly letting them know, teasing what's coming up in the next month?
Yeah, you want that to be an ever-present factor. So if you've got a library of courses or content, make sure that the top of that list is even just the thumbnails and the title with the coming soon ribbon across it. Always let people always kind of take the opportunities to remind people that this is ever evolving, that there's always more cool stuff coming. You don't have to send them an email every single month just saying, here's what's coming next month. But again, if you're doing this, something we do when we do our member Q&A calls or mastermind calls, we always end them with some dates for your diary. So it's always, this is what's coming up. This is the day of the next expert workshop, and this is who's coming in. This is the day this course is going to be released. And then at the beginning of those sessions, we're looking back on what's happened this month. So this month, we've had a great new course. We've had a great new quick win tutorial. So you're continuously taking the opportunity to remind people the value that they're getting through their membership without being obnoxious about it. You don't want to be that guy who's constantly like reminding their girlfriend how amazing they are. In that, you don't want to be that person, but take those opportunities to just tease it out there. It's not the only thing you want to do on the retention front. It's remembering that, again, actually delivering on that value instead of just talking about how much value you're going to deliver, actually delivering on it and making sure that any content you're creating, any developments in your site are done with your members' interests at heart and are done with the mission of helping your members achieve what they joined your membership to achieve. That should be the center of everything that you do. And it's also just things like showing up in the community, like actually showing up and caring and wanting to help people and feeling good when you have helped people and maybe feeling bad if you haven't been able to. Actually investing yourself in it, because if you're not invested in your membership, no one else is going to be. And if someone's not invested in your membership, they're not going to be engaged. They're not going to stick around very long.
Right. Absolutely. So I think that is the key to really retention, is to add value, to just, deliver on the promises that you're giving people and just make sure you're solving problems. It goes all the way back to that. Like, that's ultimately your job, solve problems. If you're solving their problem, people are going to stick around.
Exactly. And it's important, though, to point out, and this is the distinction I'm finding myself having to make more and more and more, because I talk so much about keep delivering value, and I think it gets misconstrued that delivering value means publishing content. Value and content aren't the same thing. You don't just want to keep throwing content at people. It's got to be the right content. But, if you can solve someone's problem with a 5-minute video, don't blow that up and turn it into a 5-hour-long course just so you can say, look at all this amazing stuff I'm giving you. Everything's got to be in service of helping the member and doing what best serves them, rather than, checking the box of saying, okay, well, look at all this value we've given you this month, when actually there's only like 10 minutes worth of gold in amongst lots of rubbish.
And then they have to scrub to try and find where the actual good piece is. Like,
Exactly. And, even it just makes your life more difficult, because you'll find that the more content you've got, if there's just lots of stuff and lots of noise, it becomes difficult to actually organize from your point of view and keep on top of. So don't confuse publishing content with delivering value.
Yeah, I love that. So, Mike, I actually want to talk to you a little bit about. I know we already kind of mentioned the Membership Guys podcast, but I want to talk to you a little bit about your new podcast. What is it called? Behind the Membership,
Behind
correct?
the Membership, yeah.
Yeah. And so what I love about that show is that the fact that you are just talking to membership site owners, kind of giving the whole behind the scenes, taking people through what it's like to actually have a membership, and you're doing it in several different industries. I am constantly preaching to podcasters that they should be doing more case studies, really highlighting people who, you've worked with, who you've helped, who are doing the things that you're teaching, because ultimately I think that is the way you really give people a sense of what it's like to be, for, in your example, a membership site owner. So I'm just curious how this podcast has been going for you.
It's gone really, really well. It's, we're at 113 episodes now on the main podcast. It's very much established in terms of what it is. It is my practical tips and advice with industry experts coming in every now and then. And, it's not really a format that was suited to just bringing on our members from our membership and spotlighting them. So, we really want to have a platform and an avenue for that. We also want an avenue for Callie to get on the show, because anyone who listens to our show, the Membership Guys podcast, is just me, but the Membership Guys are myself and Callie, my partner. And we have this running joke on the Membership Guys about, I won't let her on the show. All right. So anytime she comes on the show, the download numbers jump right up. So we play with that a little bit with the audience. So Behind the Membership is her show. And what we really wanted to do was show the realities of running a membership, the highs, the lows, the stuff that just has gone wrong, because it does. We've got 4 episodes now out. I believe there was another one came out this week. And amongst those, we've got stories of massive false starts with memberships where they launched and they just failed and flopped, and where, the founders had to go back to the drawing board and figure out what the hell went wrong and do it all over again. And that's the sort of stuff that happens. And increasingly, all you see online is the gloss, it's the glitter, it's the stuff that goes well. You hear about the big launches and the real success stories when, on the ground, not everything's smooth sailing. Stuff does go well, but stuff also goes wrong. And so we want to showcase that, as well as give a real feel of what it is to be a membership site owner. And the reactions being great. We hit top 10 in the business category in iTunes, like within 6 hours when it went up. It was nuts. And of course, that just ignites the feud between myself and Callie over who has the best podcast. But it's getting such a great reaction, and it's a different side to what we're being able to put out there. We did initially do these kind of case studies as blogs, but again, that thing of getting someone's voice and getting that connection out there was key. And everyone who's been on the show is a member of the Academy. It's not a show that's about the Academy, but of course, the Academy gets the occasional mention. And it just gives a little bit more of an insight, I think, into our perspective, but also into the types of people and the types of experiences that are inside the membership. And that, works great for giving a good snapshot of what we're all about.
Yeah, well, and like you said, it's not necessarily an outright promotion, but it's showing that the strategies that you are helping people put in place are actually working and getting them results. And that's one of the reasons that I am, like I said, constantly telling podcasters, hey, do some case studies, even if it's every 6 episodes or, every 8, 10, you should be featuring people that you've worked with, that you've helped, who are getting results from the strategies that you're sharing, because that's going to be your biggest sales tool, really, your biggest marketing tool.
Yeah, I mean, social proof is gold. And, there's only so much that you talking about how great your product, your service is. There's only so much you can do with that. But when you've got other people saying that's great, or not even directly saying it's great, but just discussing what you do. And again, it's not even... like on our show, it's not even a case of, well, everything was going terribly and then the Academy came along. It's not even that, there's guys who came into the Academy, and it's a tricky one with memberships because everybody's looking for a one-size-fits-all 10-step plan to a successful membership. I just essentially give you 5 steps to onboarding. Now, most cases, those will work, but in some, depending on your topic and your audience and all that sort of stuff, you might need to have a completely different tact. And we kind of have to try and balance telling everyone what they could do with telling everyone what we think they should do in our membership. So not everything, maybe you follow a course and we're saying, here's kind of the options you have here, the main ones I think you focus on. It's not always going to work for everyone. And so we're not shy on actually having people on that show who say, you know what, I did this thing because the discussions in the community led me in that direction. It didn't work, but then I came back, we talked about it some more, and I tried something else and it worked. So, we're not shy on laying that bare as well, because if that helps people really understand what it's about. And don't get me wrong, this isn't just a good-hearted thing where I want to protect everybody from the potential pitfalls of going down the wrong avenue with the membership and all that sort of stuff. I do, but also it's selfish, because the more you understand what is involved in being a membership owner, the better a member you're going to be for me, and the longer you're going to stay and the longer you're going to pay, because you're going to get better results. And if I'm getting you results, why the hell wouldn't you stick around and keep paying us? So it's not totally altruistic. It's a little selfish as well. We want to pre-frame what being a membership site owner means before you join. We don't want you joining our site and then figuring out this isn't for me, because our business can't grow that way. Our business grows on long-term customers. So this sort of content, I feel, and it's early days for the membership, this sort of content, again, it's just another thing that helps us create better customers.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that, Mike, so much. So as we get ready to kind of wrap things up, do you have any final piece of advice, final suggestions for our listeners out there who are just kind of on the edge of if a membership site would be right for them?
I want to reiterate the importance of research. Like, really just stress test the hell out of any idea that you've got. Don't listen to this and think, this sounds like the answer to all my problems, and then jump into it. You've got to do that research. You've got to make sure you really understand what's involved in running a membership, the commitment that's involved with it, as well as the upsides, as well as the great stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good stuff about running a membership type business. I would also definitely emphasize how key it is to establish and build your audience first. Don't adopt the Kevin Costner strategy, build it and they will come, because that is pretty much a guarantee that you will put in all this time and all this work and all this money and all this effort, and then open the doors to your membership to the sounds of crickets. Crickets riding on the back of tumbleweeds, blowing through the eternal desert of despair. And we see that happen so many times. Take the time and have the patience to build up your audience first. It doesn't need to be a mammoth audience. I'm sure a lot of your listeners will be familiar with Kevin Kelly, 1,000 True Fans. You mentioned building up those true fans at the beginning of the show. You don't need a huge audience. You can do a lot with a small, focused, targeted audience, but you need an audience. Otherwise, it's going to be like pushing water up a hill. So if that means you hold off on your plans for 6 months or 12 months while you focus on finding a way to turn passive casual listeners of your podcast into highly engaged fans and audience members, through getting them to consume content in other formats, through getting them into a Facebook group and on your email list, through actually speaking to those guys in focus groups or one-on-one, spend that time and build that audience. And that gives you a much better chance of getting your membership off on solid footing. And if you get off to a good start and you've got a bunch of members in there initially, it's going to make it so much easier to build that momentum that will grow that membership over time, than if you just open your doors and then think, okay, we're open now. Yeah. Where do I find people to join?
I think that is the perfect way to kind of end this interview. So, Mike, where's the best place for people to go if they want to learn more from you and the membership guys?
Head on over to themembershipguys.com. That's where we do all of our good stuff. regular podcasts, regular blogs, 2 podcasts now. You're spoiled for choice. We've got a lot of free tools, a lot of free resources, and you'll find links on there to membersiteacademy.com if you want to work with us more, or over to our free Facebook group if you want to jump in there and connect with us.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you again for joining us on the Power of Podcasting.
Absolutely my pleasure. My pleasure. It's been fun.
Membership sites. Well, hopefully you can see what a powerful tool those can be in your business, and really how they can allow you to create an even stronger community than you're already building here with your podcast. That's one of the biggest reasons that I love membership sites, is because it kind of takes your podcast, the community, and the connection, the relationships that you're building, and takes it to just a whole nother level with that paid membership site. The other big thing that I really love about them is the fact that you have recurring revenue that's coming in month after month after month, or year after year after year. It's makes it so you don't have to constantly be going out and looking to generate new sales. You can have a little bit more predictability in your business, in your income. So I highly encourage everyone to go check out the membership guys. Head on over to themembershipguys.com and find everything there from Mike and Callie. Like I said, great people, great information. You're going to want to learn more from them. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for joining me on this episode of The Power of Podcasting. Just a quick reminder that you can join us live every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time over on the Facebook page. All you have to go is go to yourpodcastguru.com/live. That will take you here. And then also just a reminder that the podcast is released every single Friday. So you'll see the podcast there. But if you want to join live, then you show on up Wednesday at 10 a.m. And lastly, I just want to encourage you, if you want to get started podcasting, but you have not done so yet, check out our 5-day Get Started Podcasting Challenge by going over to podcastingchallenge.com. That is really the best way for you to get all the basics, to really get out and moving, and to get over any fear or hesitation that you have. If equipment's bothering you, if the way you sound, just creating content, or the way your voice sounds is bothering you, the 5-day Get Started Challenge is designed to help you get over that, get started, get moving, and start creating great content for your audience, because that's what you need to do. You need to build that audience, build that relationship so that they start to know, like, and trust you, and that's how you're going to actually maximize both your impact and your income. And I look forward to seeing you next week on The Power of Podcasting.